I think PBC is one of the best. That's what Canelo Alvarez says. Egg on your face. Let's talk.
Push the weight and now flex. Alive is 1 in the 6. With the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You will run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, fangs out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe, nigga. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
What a difference a year makes. Drew Titan, Bronx on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. I'll put the link in the description. It's something from boxing scene I found very interesting. It says Canelo opens up about contract relationship with Al Heyman. He says, I think PBC is one of the best. Now, before I go any further, there was a lot of talk about how bad the PBC is and Al Heyman being this super crook, this super criminal. He's bad for boxing. You know, a lot of haters say that, you know, former fighters in their feelings for reasons that, you know, only they can explain. You know, it's whatever. And this man has been everywhere. You know, Golden Boy, The Zone, he drained the swamp. Now he's at the PBC. And this was the last place people thought that he'd end up. And he's there now. But I want people to remember the ridicule for the PBC. If you remember a few years ago, and I'm like, no, was it like last year or something? The PBC offered him a 3-fight deal. It was Jamal Charlo, David Benavidez, and I think if he got past 2 of those, it was Errol Spence. And he turned that down, and that was news. And now he's here. When he was at the, I went to the Charlo presser in New York, and Brian Custer asked him, he said, why now? And he said, you know, he said it then, you know, PBC is one of the best, and I think the time is now. I wanted to follow up. If I got to speak to him, I wanted to ask him, okay, well, who's on the menu? How many fights and who's on the menu? But you couldn't get close to the guy. You know, he's a diva. He's surrounded by a bunch of security, and he didn't really talk to anybody. You know, and salute to Jamel because he spoke to everybody. But Canelo was like, he went from the stage to the little booth where they had the YouTube. I think that was the PBC or the ESPN. No, I'm sorry. It was the PBC YouTube channel. Spoke to them and they hustled him out the door. You know, so I never got my questions answered. It was a very simple question, but it goes to show you what's going on here. So in the article, it says pretty much he's controlled his own career when he severed ties with Golden Boy. 6 out of his last fights was promoted by Matchroom, with the other presented by the PBC in 2021. Alvarez knocked out Caleb Plant after working with Eddie Hearn for the last 3 years. He opted to sign a 3-fight contract this summer with the PBC that will accumulate with 2 or more fights in 2024. 2 or more. So it's Mel versus Canelo on September 30th in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And it says here, Alvarez ultimately aligned with Al Heyman, led by the PBC, due to the quality of contenders available in the PBC stable. This is what you see what it says there? You hear what it says? And I'll put the link in the description. You need to read that. Due to the quality of contenders available in the PBC stable. The quality. The first fight you're having on the PBC side of town is an undisputed champion at 154. Quality of contenders. Quality. The man's undisputed at 168. Go look at the rankings. And his first fight is a guy 2 weight classes south of him. Language is important, ladies and gentlemen. So he says here, I think it's good fights in the PBC. I always like to work with good people and the best out there. I think the PBC is one of the best. We don't know who his next 2 opponents will be. We're 100% focused on Jamel. And then we're going to sit down with Al Heyman and see what's next. Okay? That's a direct quote. Okay, Alvarez's run with Hearn featured a lineup of opponents that include Caleb Smith. Yeah, we would stoke to see these names. Listen to these names, y'all. Caleb Smith, Avni Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Dimitri Bivol. That was the pipe bomb. And let me be very clear. That was an attempt at a belt grab because Bivol looked horrible in his previous fight. He looked horrible. And he thought he can go up there and pad his legacy and win a belt at 175. And Dimitri beat him like a drum. That was unexpected. A third fight with Triple G. We didn't ask for that either, and he said he was done with that. But after the Bivol fight, he needed to get back in the win streak, in the win column. And John Ryder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights that we did not ask for. You understand? So now he's at the PBC. It says here, with PBC, Alvarez could face the likes of David Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade, and David Morrell, as well as Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., and Jamal Charlo, should they choose to move to 168. Man, they actually threw Jamal, because y'all remember, Jamal's at 160. Okay, Errol Spence, who has to deal with Bud Crawford, and if he loses the Bud, how's he going to 168? None of this. Wow, it doesn't make sense to us, but it makes perfect sense to Alvarez. Did you hear what I just read? Now it's making more sense why he thinks it's the right time to come to the PBC. And Terrence Bud Crawford, that's the goal right there. Because if he beats Errol in the rematch, watch how the industry pushes for that fight. These demonic people are symbolic. Remember I said that. These demonic people are symbolic. He could have fought Andrade about 8 years ago. He ain't finna do that. David Morrell, he's still a little green, but he might test the waters with that. And David Benavidez, yeah, make me a believer. Because as it stands right now, I don't believe it. He goes on to say, I really like Al Heyman. I'm happy to be here. Alvarez said in a recent episode of the PBC podcast, adding that Heyman is a great person and a great businessman. Well, I'm glad he's finally spoken to him, because there's a lot of hate for Al Heyman. He hasn't said a word to anybody. Earlier this week, Hearn admitted that he was not surprised to see Alvarez leave the matchroom nest for greener pastures with the PBC. We talk socially every now and then. This is what Eddie Hearn says. But he made the best move for his career. And I think he did make the best move. I didn't have any options for him at all, really. As close as we are as friends, it don't really work like that. Once that offer got presented to him, I think he made the right decision. Right. He goes on to say at the end of this article, I hope he beats Charlo. This is what Eddie Hearn says. Let me read the whole thing for you. I've been a fan of Canelo Alvarez before we even represented him. He had a tremendous run. We made him hundreds of millions of dollars. He made us a lot of money as well. I loved working for him. I think we did a brilliant job. I think he enjoyed his time with us, and I hope, subject to how long he goes on for, that we get the opportunity to do it again. I'm sure we'll catch up later this year. I hope he beats Charlo. Okay? That's what he said. I hope he beats Charlo. Okay? So we know what side of the street that Eddie's on. Now, he says he made us a lot of money. And we made him a lot of money. I think we did a brilliant job. Let me read the names again. Okay? Caleb Smith, Avni Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Dmitry Bivol, Gennady Golovkin, John Ryder. That's a brilliant job. That's a brilliant job. Right. Canelo fans, you guys, y'all blow, pun intended, y'all blow in whatever direction he decides to walk in. Blow and Canelo fan goes in the same sentence perfectly. But now he's at the PBC. Y'all done spent the better part of half of a decade ripping the PBC. And now he's there. What you got to say now? Don't matter. So it is what it is. I just found this very interesting. So I'm rooting for Charlo. Don't know how he's going to do it, but I'm rooting for Charlo. I'm rooting for Charlo. Because this move stinks. You dig? So hopefully Benavidez is on that menu. Make me a believer. Because the man told me he don't want to fight Mexicans. Benavidez is American. But whatever. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Bronx on deck.